Hello everybody, welcome back to the Promotion Power Rankings. This is a very exciting series between now and the end of the season where we're going to put forward 19 teams that are in the hunt. The runners and the riders. Of course, there's more than that in the EFL. And the reason we've gone with 19 teams is because when you think of automatic promotion places, you've got 6, and then 7 with the playoff places as well. So that's why we're going with 19. And now it gets juicy. Last week, we kind of set the tone in terms of where the runners and riders were in terms of that ability to get promoted. Now we are seeing, just with one game, just with 7 days, the change. Some new entries into the chart this week, some teams dropping out as well, which I'm very annoyed about. More on that a little bit later on. But let's get into it, because some of these places, the places at the top, will fall away as teams become champions and get automatic promotion places. They will get locked in. So it's an exciting time, and your team, hopefully for you, is in this 19. So let's get started. In first spot, it's not a mover this week. We've got lots of movers in the rankings this week, but Fulham, first and foremost, haven't played this week. Forest, of course, were playing in the FA Cup. Their last game was a 1-0 defeat to West Brom, but we've got to put them top of the Promotion Power Rankings at the moment with the points that they've got. 8 points clear of second place, 14 points clear of third place at the moment. Next game is against QPR, my team, away from home, and they've won 10 of the last 14. Thank you, Kai, who does the stats, for putting that stat in there. Appreciate that. Second place, we've got a mover. Moved up 2 spots from last week. They were in 4th spot this week. Wigan Athletic in League One. We've got games in hand against Rotherham. Rotherham are faltering a little bit. They were in second place. We'll see where they are in just a second. And the way they're playing, the thing I like about them in League One is you've got to be able to mix it up. And the way they've been able to manage games and score goals over the weeks and months of the season has been very, very efficient. And you can see it from these goals here, that you've got someone like Josh McGuinness, who's gone to Wigan Athletic, and Will Keane scoring goals for the team. 2 big guys with physicality. Tommy Naylor getting involved as well. He got 2 assists in this game. So you got the first goal here. That was Humphreys, actually, playing for Wigan. But Josh McGuinness scored in this game and in the last game. And then you've got Will Keane getting involved here. These are ugly goals, but they're good goals, because it gets you nice, comfortable wins against oppositions like Morecambe, who are fighting for their lives. And so because of that and the games that they've got in hand, we're putting them up into second place in the Promotion Power Rankings this week. Burton, Bolton, Accrington Stanley in the next couple of games, they've been so professional. They should be fine, but you never know. It can change at any moment and can change with the rankings as well. In third place, we go to League Two. First spot at the moment, Forest Green Rovers. Although they've been on a tricky run, they were winless in 7. Got that victory against Colchester. Huge for them. Stop the rot, sort out the form, and get that buffer a little bit bigger. 8 points now. They should be absolutely fine now they've stopped the rot. In 4th spot, a team that's dropped 2 places in the rankings this week, Rotherham. I mean, we were talking about them previously and saying that they're probably the best team, pound for pound, in the EFL. Having a little bit of a blip now, a 3-0 defeat to Shrewsbury Town. What I would say is the 2 recent defeats, they've had men sent off in both of those games, quite early on in both of those games. So if they can sort themselves out, calm down just a little bit, we can see with the League One table that Wigan Athletic are really having a real go at them now. They've got those 2 games in hand and should go past them. The concern has got to be MK Dons, who have been very, very good, and we'll talk about them very, very soon. So Rotherham had to drop down just a little bit. I'm not too nervous about them. Let's see what Matt Lax has to say about Rotherham and see if he's nervous.
I think it's fair to say concerns growing in a little bit with Rotherham fans. It feels like we had that 10-point gap when a few weeks ago has gone down very quickly to now 4 points. We've got an international break. We've got a few internationals. I think that's really good timing after the performance against Shrewsbury was very, 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 very poor. We need to use this international break, get players fit. We've got Wembley after that as well. We've got to use these things to try and find a bit of momentum, because at the minute there is no momentum in this team, and it's a little bit of a concern.
This is why it's compulsive viewing, guys, every single week. What you'll see from some of the clips that we're going to look at is just the difference between a victory and a defeat and what that does to you as a football fan. Matt Lax there from New York Talk, just that little bit nervous, a bit of groaning going on, as he says. Next in the rankings, rising 4 places and into second place in League Two, Exeter City. 3 wins out of the last 4. Great win for them against Oldham Athletic, who Oldham Athletic actually, despite the results, aren't playing as bad as it looks down the bottom of League Two. Giovanni Brown, we spoke about him last week. He scored a goal in the 96th minute after a sending off for Exeter City to get them the victory. They're looking very good now in those automatic promotion places. Next 3 games, Port Vale, Stevenage and Newport. They're on a really strong run now, looking very, very good. And we expected them to bounce up through the rankings, and they've done it already, going up 4 places up to 5th spot in the rankings this week. 6th spot, a bit harsh on Bournemouth this week after winning 3-0 against 3rd place Huddersfield Town. But they were great goals as well. And it's just because in the EFL, there are so many teams doing great stuff at the moment. Bournemouth looking really good in that game. I thought they showed their quality, and the goals from Solanke and the assist from Solanke, absolutely superb. And more importantly, I think, team goals here. This is the final goal, and the goal before, Christie with great movement, Solanke with the cross, but with this one, a great movement through the lines. Huddersfield really, really struggled. Cross comes in, and then that is absolute filth from Dominic Solanke. The only reason they've dropped down is because they've still got to play 6 of the current top 10. I'm confident, and that's why they're up pretty high, but because those other teams have got an easier set of games, that's where they've dropped down a little bit in the promotion power rankings. Let's hear from Tom now from back of the net. I reckon he's quite confident,
Massive win over Huddersfield at the weekend. Real statement to the league, I felt, that we've dropped off a little bit of form and performances lately, so it was a real big reaction from the team that we needed. 3 goals away from home at promotion rivals was huge, and quietly, can we reel Fulham in? Who knows? I think it's still on, but I think at the moment it's all about just making sure we're in that top 3, and I'm confident. We've got the points in the bag, we've got games in hand as well. I think the chasing pack, the promotion rivals, seem to be consistently inconsistent, so that plays into it as well. I think if you can't be confident now as a Bournemouth fan, then you never will be. We've got to get it done now. It's on. Catch us if you can.
In 7th spot, MK Dons, great win for them. Very quietly going under the radar. The team that likes to dominate the ball, but got themselves a goal this weekend from a set piece. Their XG for set pieces is the 3rd lowest in the division, but somehow, despite it being an XG of 8, actually the amount of goals they've scored so far this season is 13. So they're very smart with set pieces, even if they don't have that many goals from it. 4 points off Rotherham now. It's getting pretty tight there. And with 7 games to go, it could get very, very tense. They're sitting pretty in 7th at the moment, but a victory and a defeat for Rotherham, they're going to bounce up those promotion power rankings. In 8th spot, we talk about teams going up. In terms of a team that was in the 19 last week that's gone up the highest, Bristol Rovers are that side, gone up 8 spots. They're 4th in League Two now. And we can hear from Charlie Haynes right now, who is pretty happy, I reckon, with the form of Bristol Rovers.
So yeah, another massive win for Rovers on the weekend, winning 1-0 away to Northampton. And it's only just going to do our promotion prospects the world of good, really. Just got to keep the form up, keep doing the good game management. 4 wins in a row, 8 clean sheets in the last 11. Most informed team in League Two in 2022 as well. And yeah, 8 cup finals to go. Just got to keep it up, really. Big games against Port Vale away, Tranmere away and Forest Green at home. And hopefully either automatic promotion or in the playoffs. Fingers crossed.
Such fine margins in games like this. Northampton Town have been very, very good at the back this season, but Bristol Rovers did get that goal. Let's have a look at that goal now as well, because it's these kind of moments. Northampton Town fans won't want to see this, but for Bristol Rovers, I mean, very opportunistic. Harry Anderson gets the goal here, but it's a good bit of pressure. But then Horsfall with the terrible back pass, saw it coming. Great finish through the goalie's legs as well. That one will sting for them. But they did stop Northampton, stop Mitchell Pinnock, kept him quiet. The 3rd clean sheet in a row for Bristol Rovers, and they are doing very well. Joe Barton has delivered the dark arts to them as well. If you think of Paul Coots, got a time-wasting booking after 75 minutes in this game, but they climb 8 spots in the promotion power rankings. Not the highest new entry, though. because there are a couple of teams that weren't even in the 19 last week, but it shows how much it can change. Luton Town, our highest new entry after an incredible run that they're on, doing so well. Newcomers to the power rankings. Luton Town fans, let us know how you're feeling about this and how you're feeling about the team. A couple of the defeats recently, the one against QPR, it was kind of fortunate from QPR. We didn't play very well that day. Middlesbrough as well, one of the bigger teams, but winning those games against the lesser sides has been absolutely huge for Luton Town. James Bree has been fantastic for them. He scored at the weekend, a good victory against Hull City, and that's it. You've got to keep your nerve, have that kind of attacking verve that Luton Town have, and win these games that are winnable for them. It's crucial. And if we have a look at their fixtures coming up, Millwall, Peterborough, Huddersfield Town, Nottingham Forest. Wow. I mean, all tough. You've got Peterborough still fighting for their lives. Millwall still kind of trying to get in the hunt for the playoffs. And of course, Nottingham Forest are in great form as well. But all winnable games as well. I think that will dictate their season. The next 4 or 5 is going to dictate the season for a lot of teams and if they can hang in these promotion power rankings. Next up, Northampton Town. We spoke about them. We saw that goal, that defeat to Bristol Rovers. They've been in the top 2 the whole season. And we've said the name Mitchell Pinnock a few times. And the thing is, if you stop him, 41% of the goals have been involved around him. And they were able to keep him very, very quiet in this game. And that hurt them. The next 3 games for them, Hartlepool, Mansfield, and Bradford. They will want to win at least 3 of these next 4 with Oldham Athletic in there as well. Could get them back on track. I see them finishing in the playoffs. I think they'll be fine there, and they'll be a tough nut to crack when it gets to the playoffs. They just got to be careful from now on. It was just one big game, but I think they'll be okay. In 11th spot, up 4 places in the rankings this week, Plymouth Argyle. Great victory, 4-0 victory against Accrington Stanley. 5 wins from 5. Probably the form team in the EFL right now. Haven't conceded a goal in those 5 games as well. And Ryan Hardy, so influential for this team. 4 goals in the last 5 for him as well. Really exciting times for Plymouth. I think the automatic promotion places are probably just a touch too far, but it's a very well put together side. Of course, with Brian Lowe, Schumacher's come in and kept on with that great work. And Cheltenham, Ipswich, Oxford, and next 3, they're tricky. But I really like Plymouth Argyle, and they're in a really, really good place right now and have done fantastic to get themselves into 4th spot at the moment. Next up, we got a new entry on the power rankings this week, and it just shows you the up and down of it all. Sheffield United weren't even in the 19 last week. Now they're up to 12th. Got the victory against Barnsley. They've had quite shady form in the last couple of weeks. You know, the draw against Blackpool, the defeat the week before that. But the squad there is really good. I think we were expecting Sheffield United to gently make their way into the playoff places, and now they find themselves in 5th spot in the Championship, which is very, very tight up there. But now, you know, for them to be in there, you expect them to push on now. They've got some tough games, but they're confident, as are their fan base. Let's hear from Nick Wiley.
I think Sheffield United's got a great chance of getting into the playoffs and maybe even getting promoted. Now we've got one of the best goalkeepers in the league. We've got one of the best defences in the league. Morgan Gibbs-White, for me, is the most creative player in the whole division. Now, we've also been hit with so many injuries to key players, but we are still 5th in the division as I'm recording this right now. And after the international break, we've got possibly 4 or 5 more key players to come back into that squad, which is going to make it a very, very strong squad indeed for the run-in. I think we've got a fantastic chance.
I'm really struggling with football this week. QPR dropping out of the power rankings. There's your spoiler. We'll talk about them in just a second. But you see the difference with Nick there. He's got the best players in the division. Life's rosy. Life's great. And it's difficult to watch, I've got to be honest. But I understand why. They've still got to play QPR twice, which is probably not a bad thing with our form at the moment. Bournemouth and Fulham on the last game of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But they're deservedly in the rankings this week. Be interesting to see if they can go any higher than 12 for this stage. 13th spot, Oxford United in League One. 5th spot. Do you know what? It's something that will go under the radar. No one will talk about it. But that 95th minute equaliser from Luke McAnally, huge, absolutely huge for him against an Ipswich side that are trying to make a charge, really have become one of the best teams in the division. But to get this And this is one of those ones where you do not leave early. And you got some people in the car park there leaving early. Shame on you all. Shame on you all, because limbs were had by all. Great stuff for them. Luke McAnally with the goal there. Crucial, big games for them coming up. Morecambe, Plymouth, Sunderland. Huge games for them. They retain their place where they are right now in 13th spot and 5th place in League One. Next up, we've got Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough didn't play this weekend, so we won't talk about them for too long. Of course, Chris Wilder's done great stuff. I guess the question here is, that defeat against Birmingham the other week, was that because they had one eye on the FA Cup? They are now out of the FA Cup, and that could be a blessing in disguise for Chris Wilder's side, who have dropped down 3 spots in the rankings this week. Down 3 spots, Tranmere Rovers down to 15th. The form has been patchy at best. Won the last 2 before this draw against Sutton, and it's an awkward game against Sutton United with the way they play. It wasn't a classic. But it's one of those ones where Tranmere in the next 2 games, if they can get 6 points, then they can get themselves in those automatic promotion places. They could fire up the rankings. It could be absolutely outrageous. But they haven't been totally on form at the moment. I'm intrigued to hear what Matthew Glazer's got to say about this. Is it glass half full or empty? Let's see.
Tranmere's 1-1 draw at Sutton was an important point in our quest for promotion this season. It was very important not to lose the game against a fellow promotion rival. It was also important to stop the rot on the road after a succession of away defeats. You're really good the way that we came back into the game after going 1-0 down and being dominated in the first half. We now go to Colchester with renewed hope, ideally 3 points away to Colchester, and victory in at least 3 of our 4 remaining home matches would give us a credible chance of automatic promotion. I think now at worst we'll probably end up in the top 7 in the playoff spots, but Tranmere fans now hopefully will feel confident that the performances of Lewis Warrington and the return of Jay Spearing can help us edge over the line despite it being very tight at the top of League Two.
Nice to see that Matthew's looking up instead of down, but if he does look down, it's actually a bit tighter than you think. Tranmere need to keep winning those games because it is super tight. And we've still got another League Two side in our rankings, and we'll elaborate on that in a second. Next up, 16th spot, our lowest faller, Newport. I mean, at least they're still in the rankings. It's better than QPR this time round or this week. You never know. There's always next week. It's odd, this one, because Newport have been in great form, but this defeat takes them from 3rd to 6th in League Two at the moment. They had 61% possession against Hartlepool, only created 9 shots and conceded 3 somehow, which is very disappointing for them. Previously been on that 6-match unbeaten run. And you can see from the goal here against Hartlepool, the defenders were not happy with the goal for Hartlepool, who weren't expected really to get anything from this, especially at Newport's home ground. You expect them to win this one. And he was able to turn him a little bit too easy at Burn there, get the goal in, and yeah, not happy at all. And I guess Newport County fans will not be happy with me either, because they dropped 10 spots from 6th to 16. But that's the EFL. That's this stage of the season. Next up, 17th spot, Huddersfield Town. I mean, they've gone down 9 spots, which is a little bit harsh on them as well. We showed you that Dominic Solanke goal. There was a gap in the quality between Bournemouth and between Huddersfield in that game. And when you dive a little deep into the numbers, if you think of the last few games, over the last 2 losses, the XG was 4 goals against, 1.4 for them. And in terms of XG, they're sort of midway in the table for scoring goals. So they have been running a little bit hot. If Danny Ward isn't scoring goals for them, then they're starting to struggle a little bit. And you wonder, with those 2 losses to Millwall and to Bournemouth, if they're going to be able to kind of get themselves back on track. I think the playoff places are there for them. There could be some heartbreak down the road. And I think that's why we've had to drop them down, because we've all been so surprised by Huddersfield Town this season. In 18th spot, a new entry. Sunderland fans, happy days for you. And strangely, you've snuck in there despite just getting a draw. If we have a look at the League One table here, you can see just how tight it is. Sheffield Wednesday, of course, got that game in hand and would leapfrog Sunderland if they can get that victory. What's interesting with Alex Neil and what he's done here is he's been looking to sort of calm down the goals that have been going in. They have a lot of great wide players, and you've got someone like Jordan Clark playing as a wing-back now for them in a 3-5-2. So that they've stopped conceding. They've only conceded 1 in their last 5, which I think gives us hope for them. You've got someone like Jermaine Defoe to come off the bench as well. Patrick Roberts playing as a sort of shadow striker with Ross Stewart up top. There's a lot of good ingredients there. The next 3 games for Sunderland will be season defining though. Gillingham, Oxford United, we've spoken about them. That's going to be really, really tough for them. Shrewsbury Town, who've been playing well recently, last couple of games. And Plymouth Argyle, who are flying. Such tough games, but if they can get some victories out of that, they can get themselves in the playoffs. They're a team that we need to keep an eye on next week. It'll be interesting to see if they can survive in the promotion power rankings. And in last place, another new entry, completely deserved and currently not in the playoff places, Port Vale. We were talking about Tranmere, and Matthew was talking about how if they look up, those automatic promotion places are available to them. But if we look down a little bit as well, of course, you've got Port Vale with 2 games in hand at the moment. And they are quite a direct side. You've got Proctor. And this goal is a great example of how Port Vale have been playing this season. And James Wilson scoring the goal for them. You know, it's that long ball up top. It's a little bit agricultural. Of course it is. But it works for them. They've been very well drilled all season. Look, James Proctor's so difficult. And then this is fantastic from James Wilson. A lot of you remember him from his Man United days. Tough angle. Goalie will want to do a little bit better there. And playing against Bradford City, who a lot of the League Two sides in our promotion power rankings have still got to play Bradford City. But Port Vale have got through that game with a 2-1 victory away from home. It's looking very, very nice for them at the moment, and they deserve to be in there, and sooner or later I believe they're going to be in those League Two playoff places. So they're locked in, the 19 places in this week's promotion power rankings. First of all, let me know how you feel about your team and where they're at, but I also want to just touch on some of the teams that haven't made it, because one of them of course is QPR. My team went and saw the game against Peterborough, bottom of the league, and we lost 3-1. The way we've been playing recently is just not good enough. The team's not looked like it has done previous in the season. There's a lot of different parts, players coming in on loan, and it's not really clicking. Injuries have hurt us as well. We've got, substitute goalies, emergency loans coming in. Lyndon Dykes has been out for ages, and we just look like we're really, really struggling now. And games against Peterborough at home are the ones we've really got to win, because our fixtures are so tough. I am just dreaming of getting back in those promotion power rankings, but time will tell. Next up is Fulham for us, so it doesn't get any easier. Swindon Town dropped out as well this week. Shock 3-1 defeat to Crawley. They've also not got Johnny Williams for the international break. I wonder if that's going to hurt them a little bit. Port Vale on a really strong run now as well, breathing down their necks with games in hand. So that's why they missed out this week. They'll be hoping to come back because they are a good side and do play good football. So they'll still be hoping to get into those playoff places and currently are in 7th spot. Nottingham Forest, really hard done by as well at the moment. But I think the fact that they were playing in the FA Cup and they aren't in the playoff places at the moment, we can't put them in there just yet. Possession is 9/10 of the law. So Nottingham Forest still on an amazing run. Great victory against QPR in the week as well. And they did look pretty exciting. Gave Liverpool a real run for their money, didn't they? So they're in great form, and it's another one where maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they're out of the FA Cup, as upset as Forest fans will be. They can now focus on the league. That battle between Sheffield Wednesday and Sunderland, 2 huge clubs in League One, is going to swing back and forth a few times between now and the end of the season. So again, another team probably unlucky to not make it in this week. But as I say, there's always next week. We're going to be here every single week between now and the end of the season to give those promotion power rankings. Of course, when teams become champions, those spots get locked in, and that means there's less opportunity for teams to make it into those places and to just visualize the dreams that they have in terms of wanting to go up this season. Of course, there's only so many places up for grabs. So make sure you join us next week. Make sure you get involved in the comments as well, and make sure you subscribe to the League of 72. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.